Well, who would have thought it? RetroCore is back. One-off special, mind you, but it's back. And kicking off this new episode is Street Fighter Alpha 2 for the Super Famicom. Yeah, this ain't the Sega Saturn or even the PlayStation version. Nope, this is the Super Nintendo. The way it pauses there when it says Alpha, you just know it's meant to say Street Fighter 02.
Round one, fight!
Now, considering by the time this game came out, most real Street Fighter fans were playing on the Sega Saturn version, which was the next best thing to the arcade back then. Now, it does make you wonder why Capcom bothered making this for the Super Nintendo. Well, maybe Capcom are just loyal to the fans. After all, they kept making Saturn games after everyone else decided not to bother, including Sega themselves. So why disappoint the fans that made your game as popular as it was? The Super Nintendo owners. Because you gotta admit, if it wasn't for the Super Nintendo Street Fighter, maybe it was the best version, maybe it wasn't. But you gotta admit, if it wasn't for that version of the game, it never would have got the popularity that it did. And you gotta take your hats off to Capcom because they've done actually a very good effort of porting Street Fighter Alpha 2 to the Super Famicom. Okay, the colours are lacking and the animation's lacking and everything looks a bit smaller, but just look at it. You can tell what it's meant to be, even if it does load in every now and then. And the attention to detail is in there. You can see the water ripples on the floor on this stage. Of course, there are things missing, but you know, not bad for what it's running on.
Round one, fight!
Even though the game's missing quite a few bits here and there, it does actually play quite well, so you know, it is a faithful reproduction of the original game. Apart from these loading between attempts to fight. The thing is though, would you bother buying it? Well, apart from collection purposes or maybe a nostalgic view, I can't see any reason why you'd want to buy this version, even though it is pretty decent. You can get yourself the Sega Saturn version, which is a million times better and a million times cheaper as well. But still, it's a nice technical achievement, you gotta admit. Just love the Bitmap Brothers rip-off logo there. This is a Superstar Shooter. A lovely dodging game made for the Wii's homebrew channel. Even though it does say WiiWare at the beginning, but it's not WiiWare. It's for the homebrew channel. Of course, this is only a sample version. But I can say hand on heart, this is definitely the best homebrew channel shooter there is. Most of the other stuff is just like, well, shit, to be honest. But this is actually like a real game. And just listen to that lovely music. Great, isn't it? Retro all the way. So in this demo you got a 2-minute game, a 5-minute game, and you can replay your actual game which you just did. Hopefully when the game's finally released you're going to be able to get a lot more in there. I'll just shut up now and let you sit back and enjoy this lovely bit of homebrew coding. Definitely worthy of an official release. I'd pay for it. There's my game which I just played. Speed it up an awful lot. Bloody mad that is. No, this isn't 32X game with a new fancy title screen. This is actually the Sega Saturn version of Stellar Assault. And it's one of those Sega Saturn games that'll cost you an awful lot. It came out in 1998. And basically what we get is a solid, well, it seems solid, 60 frames a second space shooter. It's some of the most fluent 3D you've seen on the Sega Saturn. And it comes from Sims. Not exactly well known for making 3D games. But they've done a fantastic job importing the Sega original 32X game to the Sega Saturn. In fact, dare I say it, they've probably done a better job than what Sega would have done themselves. With controls fully analog, or you can have them in digital form. You got a control method that'll suit even the most picky of people. As well as the controls being extremely fluid, they're also very easy to pick up. In fact, even a novice can be pretty good at this game in a matter of no time. Mind you, there are those people who don't like the reverse controls, but you'll be happy to know you can put them back to normal. Unfortunately, the stories are all in Japanese, and there is an awful lot of stories in there. And to be honest, I can imagine you're going to miss out on a bit of the excitement if you can't understand what the story's talking about. But and again, if you're just into blasting the shit out of everything, you're going to be quite amused with this. So as you can see, it looks absolutely beautiful and sounds pretty good as well. Stellar Assault's also quite a challenge, so you're certainly not going to finish it on your first sitting. In fact, it's going to take quite a while before you finish this one. Don't you not put it on easier, that is. just like the 32X version of this game, you also get what's called a trace mode, where you can watch a replay of your fight from a third-person viewpoint, which is actually quite interesting. Look at that, it's a beautiful cutscene, that one, isn't it? Now you may notice that the game's presented in a little box. That's because the game is actually full widescreen. Of course, if you play on a normal TV, you're going to get the big black bars on the top and bottom. If you play on a widescreen TV, it's going to look really good. And also it does have an interlaced mode or a normal mode in the option screen. For some reason, interlaced makes it look a little bit sharper. But no matter what mode you pick, you're going to be impressed by the visuals, put it that way. Now, if someone said to you that you were going to get a Sega Saturn fighting game which ran at 60 frames a second with full-on light sourcing and shading, you'd laugh at them, wouldn't you? Well, you can't anymore because that's what Sabaki gives you. True, it's no virtual fighter, but from a technical viewpoint, it's quite impressive. Just look how big the characters are. 3D arena which doesn't break up like Sega's AM2 games. Lovely light sourcing and fully shaded. But then again, the game doesn't play that well. Well, that's being a little bit hotter, isn't it? Don't have plants to look sort of metallic. Oh, I was getting my ass kicked there, wasn't I? See, the problem with Sabaki is the controls just don't feel tight enough. It just feels a little bit on the sluggish side, and while the movement and the animation is really nice, it doesn't seem to correspond as you'd expect it to with the button presses. But you know, after a bit of playing, you do get used to the way it controls, and it does become a fairly decent martial arts game. And certainly got a lot of variety in there as well. So if you're after the 3D fighter with a little bit of variety, give Sabaki a try. You might be surprised. Now, it's very unusual for the Mega CD game to get the best version of a game, but in Popful Mail's case, it actually is best on the Mega CD. Quite surprised that. Also available on the PC Engine and the Super Famicom and a few other systems as well. But none of them compared to this Mega CD version. Now, Puffle Mail, for those who don't know, is a walk-along platformer with odd RPG elements. And of course, being a CD-based game, or this version is, you get full-on speech as well. Very nice. As you can see in this case, I've switched the speech off. I'll switch it back on in a minute. There we go, just go into the system, put the voice back to on.
なあ頼むよ僕を町へ連れて行ってくれよそれなりのお礼はするからさ
お礼実は私賞金稼ぎなのよ
See, the only problem is when you put the voices on, you can't actually skip any of the text. which comes quite annoying when you die and you've got to re-continue and go back through the entire speech again. But apart from that one niggling point, I can't find much to fault Waffle Mail. As with all games of this type, you start off with a pretty low energy, and the more you kill, the more experience points you get and the more money you gain, which you can use to go and buy items, weapons and so on in various shops. Gameplay wise, there's nothing special, it's pretty much what you'd expect, but the challenge is nice, and the actual visual appeal of the game is also quite good. Some of the areas are quite well laid out, some of them are actually pretty interesting as well. In fact, I don't think there is actually a dull moment in the game. I'm sure there is, mind you, but I didn't find any to be too dull. Except when I kept dying at one point and having to do it a million times. That was quite annoying. You can see I'm at the very beginning of this game when I made this video, and I've actually got absolutely buggered all of my options. Here you go, here's one of the bosses. Some of the bosses can be a bit of a pain, but once you learn the pattern of their attacks, they're actually quite easy to finish off. Well, I say quite easy, I mean, it can be done with a bit of timing. Which doesn't seem to be the case in this situation. Use one of my items there. Where's that little bugger gone? There he is. That's me dead. Oh, you can see your pants. That should keep the pervert happy. Now there are hundreds of puzzle games out there, most of them just being Tetris rip-offs or column copies. But Namco have gone all original, with Mega Panel for the Mega Drive. And believe me, this is one very simple, basic looking puzzle game, but extremely addictive. So on the left hand side of the screen you got a set of blocks, and what you got to do is match 3 of them in a row, either horizontally or vertically. And once you do match 3 of the same colour up, a little bomb will drop down to remove one of the blocks on the right hand side, which will reveal a picture which is hidden behind it. So you got one more block to go there you go. And the picture's revealed. Of course, each round gets more and more tougher. As you can see, the yellow blocks on the right hand side are actually quite tall now. On the left hand side, when you can do a few chains, so you get a couple of different coloured blocks disappearing at once, you do actually get to drop down an awful lot of bombs on the right hand side. Which you can sort of follow what I'm trying to say. So chain reaction is very useful. Like I said, the game is extremely basic, but it's so addictive. You know, if you've never tried Mega Panel, I seriously do recommend you try it out. You won't be disappointed. Like when this was first introduced to me years and years and years ago, you know, when the Mega Drive was still in, you know, it was the in console at the time. You know, well, as I was saying, when it was first introduced to me, I was thinking, bloody hell, what the fuck's this? I don't want to play this. But I sat down, give the game a go, and bloody hell, hours just flew by. And they still do even now. Hey, bit of titty action. Oh no, she's washing a pussy. No, not that type of pussy. Pussy cat. You dirty fuckers. So as well as the pin-up modes which you've seen there, we've also got the lesson mode. I'm not exactly sure why it's called the lesson mode. Apparently it does teach you what to do, but you can sort of figure it out for yourself really, couldn't you? And of course there is the 2-player mode in there as well.
Capcom presents
Ready?
Marvel vs. Capcom 2 New Age of Heroes.
And this is the Sega Dreamcast version, the original version that is. And just look how many bloody characters you get to choose from. Of course you don't get that many characters when you start the game. You actually gotta win certain rounds, do certain online events or whatever. But just look at the choice, look at that, you got Jill Valentine there from Biohazard. Lovely. And in fact, some of the extra characters are just as good as the standard characters. As with Jill Valentine, you can throw out zombies and what they call the mutant hound dogs and even crows. Great stuff. Now this game recently came out on Xbox Live for the Xbox 360, redone in HD. Not seen it myself. But I wonder if that clock is in real time, because on the Sega Dreamcast version, it's real time. So you can actually see what time I made this video. Yeah, that's right. Just after 12:30 at night. The dude's getting the crap kicked out of him there by Mega Man. Or Rockman, whichever you like. Now you may or may not know that Marvel vs. Capcom 2 was one of the best online versus games for the Sega Dreamcast. Now I myself had a broadband adapter, but I'm sure everyone I was playing didn't have a broadband adapter. And the game works so beautifully online. Very, very rarely was there any lag. Oh, it's a zombie. And I don't even need to talk about the gameplay, because as you expect from a Capcom versus game, the gameplay is extremely well. And even though a lot of the characters do seem unbalanced, it doesn't seem to be the case when you're playing. The game is extremely balanced. Of course, it's not perfect, but for such a variety of characters, especially characters such as Rockman versus, I don't know, Juggernaut or whatever, it does work out quite well. Even in the day of new versus games such as Tatsunoko vs. Capcom, this Marvel vs. Capcom 2 still cuts it. It's still very good and entertaining to play. As I'm sure a lot of Xbox 360 owners are finding out. if you don't want an Xbox or you feel like getting the original game, go and buy yourself the Naomi Arcade or the Dreamcast conversion. So I'm telling you now, you won't be disappointed. One of the best 2D fighters for the system. Unfortunately, the online mode no longer exists.
Oh man, I almost had a heart attack there. You lose.
Don't you want a rematch? Don't give up. Challenge again.
Mega Drive owners might recognize this one. This is Marvel Land. Or Talisman's Adventure, I think it was called in the West. Of course, this isn't the Mega Drive version, this is the original arcade version. But how does it differ from the Mega Drive conversion, which, to be honest, was very good? Oh, hang on, that bit's not in the Mega Drive, is it? Bit of sprite scale in there. Music seems pretty much the same, but one thing you will notice about this arcade version is everything looks a little bit bigger. Mind you, it doesn't look that much bigger on this video, but it did when I was playing it. Also, in the arcade version of Marvel Land, there's an awful lot of extra characters which just do not feature in the Mega Drive version. Whether that was due to memory restraints, I don't know, but there's an awful lot missing out of it. Also, level layout's a little bit different as well. So as you can see, Marvel Land is your basic classic platform action game. And it's so simple yet so good. Basically, the idea of the game is just to get from A to B, avoiding all the enemies. Now you can either jump on the enemies in the old classic platform style, or as you can see there, I've got a variety of ghosts following me, and with them you can jump and spin around the air to attack the oncoming enemies. So you're having those little ghost characters following you around certainly comes in handy on these roller coaster sections, as you can see there. Without having them, you've got to jump and avoid the enemies, which can be a right pain in the ass on this section. Yeah, a little bit of rotation there. Another thing that plagued the Mega Drive version of this game was terrible slowdown. I really do mean bad slowdown, but it doesn't seem to be any in this arcade version. Now it may sound like I'm slagging the Mega Drive version off, but I'm not. The Mega Drive version was a good game. But it's interesting to see what's different about that and the original arcade. Whoa, you got those spinny attacks coming in handy there. Now one thing that is very interesting about the boss fights on the Marvel Land is the variety in them. So you can either play a Jankin, which is a rock, scissors, paper, stone, or as you can see in this boss, a tug of war game. Bash the crap out of your button time. Yeah, I'm sure developers love to find out ways of destroying our controllers. And your fingers, come to mention it. So after completing the stage, you get to go to the bonus stage, which looks very, very nice, as you can see. Collect as many stars as you can for those bonus points. Now, Marvel Land only has 4 different worlds in it, and each world split up into 4 sections, from what I can remember. So it's not exactly going to last you very long. Go and get that card and gear, and off to the shops we go. Now, I've actually been to this shop before on RetroCore. This is Manga Soko we're off to, but I think the last time we featured it on RetroCore was about 2 years ago, and it's changed quite a little bit since then. So I thought it'd be nice to show you the place again. On the way to Manga Soko, we go past this lovely Neo Geo arcade. Well, it was a Neo Geo arcade. Hang on, you'll be able to see the sign over here. Hey, there it is. Sign and all that's still up, but unfortunately the place closed down last year, so never did get a chance to film in there for you. It's pretty nice as well. So you can see on the horizon over there a little green sign sticking up on the top of a building. That's where we're heading. That's Manga Soko. And Manga Soko is basically one of those second-hand junk shops. There you go, you can see the sign up there now. And they sell games, DVDs, clothes, electronic items, all sorts of junk, but the games section is very impressive. So let's go into the shop. And at first you can see the Wii games there, and a bargain basket full of Game Boy Advance games. Now I must apologise for the quality of this video. It's actually filmed with a Panasonic Lumix digital camera. It's a lot easier to hide than a video camera. And then we have our display machine, so you can play on some games there. And just down this section here, this is all PlayStation games, so PlayStation, no PlayStation 2. Glass cabinets there. Inside them we have the expensive stuff, and a lot of it is well overpriced, to be honest. More PlayStation. You can guess PlayStation and PlayStation 2 take over half the floor space. What you expect. This is a Sega Saturn here. And some Mega Drive games just on the side. And around the corner we've got more Sega Saturn as well. You know, that's Saturn as well. It's actually 3 shelves of Sega Saturn. With some Mega CD PC Engine FX. And 3DO games there as well. Oh, and Mega CD is also there. And to the side there you can see some Neo Geo cartridges. Oh, hang on, that's the Saturn stuff, isn't it? Bloody hell. This stuff was PC Engine stuff. And there's the Dreamcast. Just one shelf for poor lonely Dreamcast. Which is a bit sad when you consider PlayStation's got 5 shelves, Sega Saturn's got 3 shelves, and poor Dreamcast's got 1 shelf. Some hardware there. That's mostly Sega stuff. You've got some MSX stuff, some MXS stuff there as well, and PC Engine. Nintendo and the other consoles on the other side. That's all DS stuff, as you can tell. Loads of Nintendo DS games in this place. But they're not as impressive to look at as all these lovely box Super Famicom games. Whoop, you can just about see me in the mirror there. More minty box Super Famicom games there. Lovely stuff. Oh, maybe Ultraman's not so lovely though. And let's have a quick look into the glass case. Famicom being one of the most popular machines in Japan. More popular than Super Famicom, not sure why to be honest. But that's Japanese for you. Dreamcast, mostly girly RPG stuff there, some Neo Geo. More rare, expensive Super Famicom games, a lot of them unboxed. And a lot of them way overpriced. Just look at the bloody price on that Sapphire. That's so faded. You're fucking mad to pay that. Same down here in the Sega Saturn rare game section. A lot of them are just way too expensive. Now if you're a type of person who doesn't care about boxes, I'd be very happy to browse this section. This is where all the unboxed cartridges for the Mega Drive, Super Famicom, and even some PC Engine U cards down here. Also find some Mass System games and Game Gear, Neo Geo Pocket, and so on. Some of my guidebooks there. And at the very end of this row you can see some Famicom Disk System games. God knows how many of them still work, mind you. So, hope you like this little look into Manga Soko. Great place to pick up your deals. Also a great place to get ripped off if you're not careful. And just before we go, quick look at the PlayStation budget section there. You got all those Sega re-releases down there, as well as the D3 collections.
Tatsunoko vs. Capcom!
一気に行きますこれで終わりです
What's up, motherfucker?
They met as adversaries.
What the fuck was that for?
A monster made them allies. A secret agent, immaculate, intelligent, a rookie. They call him only G. His identity, a mystery.
You ever gonna tell anyone what that fucking G stands for?
No.
A playboy cop. Isaac Washington. Make him mad, and he'll rip your balls off.
I'm gonna rip your motherfucking balls off.
Tonight, these unlikely allies will confront terror most foul in the blood-soaked halls of Papa's Palace of Pain. Be a courteous guest.
By tomorrow morning, I'll have my motherfucking revenge. Papa Caesar will be dead.
If we don't stop this mutant outbreak by tomorrow morning, we'll all be dead.
Because your first visit will be your last. Papa's Palace of Pain. Rated X.
Shit, man. I think I slept with that bitch.
That's a clever solution to a thorny problem.
Wow, the shit you say to me makes me want to smack you.
Fucking heartless.
You mean Jack's all over the street?
Get them away from me!
I got this one. Wasn't me this time, I swear it.
Is it a remanifestation of Gozer?
A PKE signature of Gozer's magnitude is definitely present, but the flux is weak for the moment.
So it could actually be a revisitation.
Pull it together, Ray. What do we have that can stop that cheap confection?
Ray, weren't you going to finish up the install of the Super Slammer today?
The Super Slammer? Sounds untested. Tacky and exciting. I'm in. But will it work? Contact!
This is great! Giant blobs of Stay Puft! I bet they still have a paranormal or kinetic connection to Bubblebutt. I think we should proceed equipped with boson darts.
I wanted to test these first, but since we're waiving that safety step today anyway, you should be aware that I modified the neutrino mod, which normally releases the particle stream. Some boson particles are extremely volatile. They're very effective, but can easily overheat your pack, so use them sparingly. Oh, any accidental particle could vaporize everything for 3 square miles. But don't worry.
Drones. They're advancing faster than we anticipated. You'll need to hurry.
You neglected to mention the giant alien standing on the bridge.
There. That wasn't so difficult.
And cast your mind back. It's 1989. Cast your mind back to when you're a little kid. You're looking up at that arcade screen, you're twiggling around with the joysticks while the game's on demo mode, pretending you're playing it, pissing off everyone who actually does want to play it. And you think you're king of the world, don't you? Till someone comes along and says, "Hey mate, you're only playing the demo, you know." Well, this is one of those games that'll bring back those memories. It's Golden Axe. Released in May 1989. And how does it fare up to this modern world of 3D gaming? Well, to be fair, it still looks quite nice. But as far as playability goes, it's a little bit on the sluggish side. Now the main annoyance with Golden Axe these days is the actual lack of fluency in the controls. You know, you can be slashing away at someone and you just will not be hitting them. The collision section does seem to be a little bit off every now and then. And also, as I was saying, you'd be slashing away at the controls and the next thing you know, the enemy's bashing you back. Because from the time you press the button to the actual move coming out on the screen, it does seem to have a bit of a delay. Of course, back in 1989, nobody noticed. It was like rock solid gameplay back then. So in between levels, these little buggers come along and steal your bloody magic potions, don't they? So you have to beat the crap out of them to get them back. Not to mention get some food out of that green one. And after doing that, you get a little update on the story of the game. Unfortunately, Golden Axe only has 4 levels. Or 5 maybe. No, it's 4, isn't it? No, it's 5. 5 levels it's got. And it's all over fairly quickly. Now the Mega Drive version was actually quite similar to this arcade original. Unfortunately, it does miss all the speech. Not all the speech, but an awful lot of the speech, I should say. But mind you, I do remember the Mega Drive version sounding a little bit better. Now of course there are 3 different characters to choose from, being the woman here, the axe battler guy, and the little stubby dwarf. Pretty much the norm for back then. The guy being the strong one, the woman being the most nimble, and the dwarf being a slow little fat ass bastard. And of course each character has their own abilities and strengths and weaknesses and their own magics. Oh well, there's me dead, isn't it? Now we all know the Mega Drive's got an awful lot of shooters for it, but which is the best one? Well, a lot of people may say Thunder Force 4. Some may say Gainu. But a lot of the fans seem to think that this is the best one. This is Element Down. Now you may not have heard of it, and that's because it's quite a rare shooter for the Mega Drive. It certainly goes for quite a bit of money every time it appears on Yahoo auctions. As you can see, the graphics are quite nice, and they've all got a lovely big beefy look to them. There's some nice little graphical touches in there as well, such as these rotating little stars. And some of the bosses are quite nice as well. But the audio, oh bloody hell. An acquired taste, I do think. How does it play? Well, quite interestingly, to change the speed you've actually got to pause the game. Which is a bit of a twist, to be honest. But the weapon system is quite nice. Use a select button to change between the weapons. You've got your standard front view weapon, your back weapon, and you've got your side weapons as well. Which actually do make a big difference to the gameplay, because if you don't select the correct weapon at the right time, kiss your ass goodbye, I think. Element Down is also one of those tricky shooters as well. Like a lot of the shooters on the Mega Drive are extremely easy to beat, even on the more difficult level settings, but this one, even on the easy, is not that easy. Ooh, some lovely effects there, look at that. Now personally, I don't think Element Down's worth the price which it goes for, you know. It does go for around about 14,000 yen on average in Japan, but I've seen it go for a lot more as well. So if you're after something a little bit cheaper and still a bit elitist, you know, total game which you're not going to find every day down your local Japanese game store, then why not try your hand at a bit of NCS Messiah blasting action? Nope, I don't mean Gainu Go Hellfire, I mean this. Yep, Glay Lancer. May not be as pretty as Element Down, but certainly got better sound, put it that way. And we got the good old Mega Drive robot speech in there as well. Power-up system's a bit more conventional, but before you start the game you do actually get to choose the behaviour of your options.
Stick to it and believe in your power.
Wow, great speech.
Wind shot.
Again, like Element Down, Glay Lancer is quite a tough shooter, especially on the harder level settings. And there does appear to be times when you can't actually see what's going on. You know, you'll be getting killed and you think, what the fuck just killed me then? But thankfully it doesn't happen all that too often. But it does happen. With a vast amount of levels in there and some of the best, and I'm not joking, some of the best animation scenes you've ever seen on a cartridge game. It's definitely one of the cheaper elitist shooters for the Mega Drive.
A huge enemy stands in your way.
You gotta love that speech, haven't you? So pathetic yet so great. Now, since this game actually did go into the Wii's download service, at least here in Japan anyway, the price of the cartridge has dropped a little bit, so you'll be able to pick up a nice minty version of this for around about 7,000 yen maybe, which is quite a drop considering it was around 14,000 yen. Lovely stuff, as Alan Partridge would say. Well, who would have thought it? Another Dreamcast game. Released in June 2009, this is Ducks. And from watching this first stage, you will notice that it pays quite a bit of homage to R-Type, not only in stage design but also in the way the weapons are used. So you get your little pod, which can be attached to the front of your ship to absorb bullets. You can also power it up, shoot it off separately to attack the enemies, or stick it on the rear of your ship for some lovely back-end action. Ooh, yeah. As you can see, this game does look very pretty. I believe me and VJ, it does look extra special. Unfortunately, this video capture does seem a little bit saturated. I think I must have the brightness setting too high on the capture card for this one. As far as playability goes, it does play pretty much like R-Type. In fact, you could call it an unofficial remix of R-Type. Maybe. Unfortunately, the game does suffer from a score bug, which some people on some forums, you know, the elitist wanking tithead people, are giving the producers of this game a real hard time over it. Now, I actually can't get this bug to work, so it could be a problem running the game on a PAL machine, or so I heard. Doesn't seem to affect me on a Japanese machine. But as I was saying, the bug only affects the score, which basically gives you a full-on score. For anyone who's playing for score and is playing on a PAL machine, it's going to be quite buggered. But for the rest of us playing on NTSC machines, or so it seems, the bug doesn't work on those machines, we're going to have a great time because the game plays very, very well. Like I said, it's not too difficult, but it's no walk in the park either. So is Ducks worth picking up? Well, you know, I'm gonna have to say yes. While the graphics could do with a little bit more animation in them, it's still a very, very solid shooter, and it does have a very nice soundtrack as well, especially if you're into the Euro style shoot 'em up soundtracks. Checkpoint. But maybe I'd hang off just a little bit before buying it to see if they get a bug fix release out there. beloved Nintendo Wii is getting all growing up. This is Ju-On, based on the movie of the same name. I think it was called The Grunge or something like that in the States and everywhere else in the world, with their westernized remake. This is based on the Japanese original. And basically what we have is a survival horror of some sort. Now all you need is the Wii remote to control this game. No nunchuck required. To go forward you press the B button, to go back you pull down on the D-pad. Sounds a bit weird but does work quite well. And to turn and look where you want to look, you just point the Wii remote at the screen. Now unfortunately the Wii remote controls are a bit unsensitive. So there are times when you be thinking, turn you little shit, and you just won't turn, but you sort of learn to live with that. Now the game doesn't actually have a hero or a heroine as such. Basically it's a load of mini stories, and in this story we are taking the role of a courier delivery guy. I've got to deliver this parcel to this house, what seems to be a rundown estate. There's also no way to survive the game either. You always end up dying. But the goal of the game is to get to the end. Now as you can see, the visuals are extremely good. Some of the best spooky looking visuals I've seen on the console. Got a few low res textures here and there, but overall it's quite a nice experience. And the real time shadow effects really do add a lot of atmosphere to the game. And people who can't speak Japanese will be very, very happy to know that this game is extremely playable without any knowledge of the language. Now the only way you can die is if you're caught by the Ju-On woman or whatever she's called, or if you run out of battery power for your light. So while you're searching through the areas you do have to search for batteries or different torches. Once that goes out, you can't see a bloody thing and you're dead. As you can see, there's a little indicator in the bottom left hand corner there, which shows how much battery power I've got left, and here's another battery. Shut up now and let you watch this. So turn up the volume and better get a clean pair of underpants ready.